Hey everyone, welcome back to the Whippy Studio, and today I'm here to review When Calls the Heart Season 13, Episode 3, and it is called Back to School. So, yeah, I would say this season has been outstanding so far. It's definitely one of my favorite seasons of the entire show. It's that good. It used the fire as like a tragedy that has actual stakes and impact for every single character to introduce, new plot lines, new stories, new emotions, new characters, obviously. I think the doing that instead of making it like an end of season tragedy works so much better for actually building an overarching story that's not focused on like a relationship or something. And here I thought that the main plot would be about little Jack's diabetes and all of that, and they've haven't made that the signature focus, which is a good thing because it doesn't need to be. They've clearly have gotten to the point where they're comfortable enough with just establishing that he has diabetes, but it doesn't need to be the central focus of Elizabeth's character and Nathan. They can have their other stuff going on. So I thought this season's been great so far. I've pretty much liked every single character and their storyline. So jumping right in, it's a new school year, and Elizabeth has double the students because all of the Benson Hills students are now a part of their schoolhouse. So the schoolhouse is packed, and I'm not gonna lie, I'm surprised we didn't really see this when they had that whole talk of a resort and tourists with the hot springs. Like, we didn't really see an influx of students as a plot line, which I feel like we would have, but now we're getting it. And I mean, it makes sense. It challenges Elizabeth. I mean, honestly, she should probably have a student teacher in there. With how many students there are, there's no way that one teacher can teach all of those. I mean, nowadays in elementary school, I mean, sure, usually it's just one teacher, but sometimes there's another teacher, like an aide in there or something. For special needs kids, there's always like an aide in there to help them. Sometimes there's a student teacher, and then of course you have your related arts. That means the teacher gets a break. Because elementary school teachers, that's a hard job because you have to do everything basically. And for Elizabeth, she has to teach every subject. She doesn't get breaks, all of that. So she should definitely have a student teacher in there, but I don't really know who that would be. I mean, I could probably see Allie doing that when she graduates. I wouldn't be surprised if that happened. And of course, she takes up even more work with helping Oliver learn Shakespeare, which I do like that. That's true to Elizabeth's character. It's a nice little addition there. But basically, the Benton Hills kids are struggling. New environment, and they know it's temporary too, or temporary to an extent. It's going to be a while until they can go back home, but it's not permanent. So they just don't really know what they're doing here, and they're struggling with that. And I'm glad the students spoke up and made their feelings clear, because at first they were just all being quiet and hiding themselves, basically. But I like that they spoke up, expressed themselves, and Elizabeth organizes a field day, which is awesome. I have great memories of field days, of course, for the last day of school. But this is definitely what the students needed. They needed some fun, and I like that Nathan was there to help her with it, because I still, one of my favorite episodes was when Elizabeth and Jack did the baseball game with the students, and they were like on opposing teams. That was so much fun. And they honestly could have just done like a whole episode with Elizabeth and Nathan doing field day. That would have been so much fun. But I like that Nathan was able to take the time away from the investigation to help Elizabeth with this. And yeah, it worked really well. You had Gwendolyn was starting to have fun, as well as the other students. So yeah, I definitely enjoyed those scenes, and it gave us something different than the schoolhouse. We've seen them go out in nature and do those things, but not, it's been a while since we've just seen them have fun like this. So yeah, I very much like that. And then the way I organize my notes, I'll go ahead and talk about the big reveal at the end, with Cooper and Toby revealing to Elizabeth that they started a small fire in the park to heat up some food, and they wonder if they didn't put it out properly, and that they may have started the fire. So that's the big dot dot dot. And I don't know. I'm mixed on it. I think there's a good chance it could have been, and that's just something they'll have to work through. That'll give the Canfield something to do for sure because they weren't in this episode other than Cooper. So they very well, that could be a big plot line for them. It could very well be a misdirect and that there's a new, someone else did it, McGinty or someone else, and they just want us to believe that it's the kids. It very well could be that too. I mean, I have a hard time believing that McGinty is responsible for this, though. Lee is dead set that it's him, and then Molly comes in saying, I saw a guy walk into the woods and it looked like him, but she can't fully tell that it was him. And Nathan and Bill say we can't match someone based off of a description. They would need to have seen, and of course there weren't like security footage back then, which would make it so much easier to solve something like that now. But basically, McGinty walks into the saloon, which I wouldn't do that if I were him. I would just avoid if I knew I was an active suspect for it. I would definitely avoid being out in public. I would be hiding away. But he's clearly kind of, he knows how to push Lee's buttons. I'll give him that. Talking about his daughter in that way. I mean, that was definitely cruel and nasty. I mean, Lee shouldn't have pushed him, nor should he have confronted him. He should have waited for Nathan to get there. But he's upset. It's literally the national park named after his daughter was burned down. And, he knows McGinty's trouble, but it's challenging. And I feel like it's almost to the point where we know it's not going to be McGinty. It's going to be some other big bad out there who started it. Or it could just be the kids. I mean, either way, I wouldn't be too mad. I just don't think it's McGinty. They made it too obvious that it's not him. So, what else is going on? Okay, so there's a few other smaller plot lines with the couples, basically. Lucas is helping, or wants to help Edie. She's working with the fire victims for a legal clinic, and they had a nice scene where she helps him give some lawyer tips when she's on the phone or when he's on the phone. I thought that was cute. They really complement each other well with their professions, and I think just like the teacher and the Mountie complement each other so well, the lawyer and the governor complement each other so well. It just worked. It's just a partnership that works, and I'm so glad that they wrote in Edie because it just makes perfect sense for Lucas's character, and she has such a big heart too. She feels bad for these victims. She wants to help them out. It really matters to her. So I like how insistent she is on helping them. And Lucas wants to help her, but then he gets called into this meeting by Edwin. Edwin is still here, which is very disappointing to me because I'm not a fan of the guy. He brings out the worst in Lucas. I mean, I think deep down he means well for him, but Lucas always, like, whenever Edwin's around, he always makes a mistake, or he does something we don't want him to do, or just leads him in the wrong direction, and I think is the main point. And yeah, I feel like he should have dumped Edwin seasons ago and found someone else. I mean, I would have loved for Henry to be in that role, but I also get that Henry doesn't want to be involved in business anymore. I understand that, but I feel like, and I guess you had to have someone draw Lucas to this meeting to set up the conflict with Edie, sorry. But I don't, I just wish we could get rid of Edwin. He's just so tiring at this point, and he definitely should have been gone seasons ago. But yes, Lucas misses the meeting, Edie's meeting, which is upsetting, but it was obviously going to happen that he would have to find time for her, not choose between her and his work because that's unfair and impossible. But it's a good conflict, and it's going to set up for them to realize, like, what are we doing here? Do we really care about each other? Is this more than just like a flirtatious thing for Lucas and for Edie? Like, what is this? Is this real for them? So I'm looking forward to seeing how that develops in the future. I don't fully fault Lucas. I mean, he did leave. They kind of, it's one of those things, we've seen it before where several scenes go on and a character's not able to leave when they clearly need to go to something else, but it was just one scene, so I thought he would make it. But I think the timeline messed with us there a little bit, thinking that it was much shorter when it was clearly a lot longer than what we thought. But yeah, I was kind of disappointed. Of course, he couldn't make the meeting. I think Edie would understand if she realized kind of how much of a pushover Edwin is, but she should also think Lucas would stand up for himself, which he kind of did. But he also kind of let Edwin walk over him, which is kind of upsetting too. So, let's see. So Mike and May are trying to get Maisie to move in with them, because she's literally just living in the saloon basically. Like, she's not sleeping, she's not resting. She's trying to do everything she can for her town, and she's just worn out. And Mike tries to get her, but it ends up being May is the one, which is, I think, works pretty well because May just comes across more like she can not negotiate, she can initiate something like that and make it sound truly genuine, where Mike's a bit awkward, and it feels like it's a given for him to be the one to initiate that because that is his sister. But with May, it's not a given. It wouldn't be expected of her to reach out to her sister-in-law, but she does because she has such a good heart. And it was a really nice scene. We haven't seen May like that, do something like that in a while, and I'm really liking Mike and May together and this storyline for them. It's really sweet. It develops their characters, and of course it's going to set up some sort of conflict because Maisie's going to be difficult to live with. But yeah, it was a good scene. So I'm curious what they're going to do with that plot line, and it's kind of like gives them something else to do rather than just the expected pregnancy. I think we'll get that at some point, but you know, ex- establishing, like, taking what we know about Mike's family, giving a little more development to that while also giving May another layer to her character definitely works well. And Oliver seeks Elizabeth's help to learn Shakespeare to impress Allie, and that's really cute. It looks, the next week in the previews, it shows Allie throwing a surprise party for Oliver, so I'm hoping we're gonna get a next step for their relationship there. I mean, I still remember after Nathan's party when him and Elizabeth had that moment outside the saloon where clearly, like, some sort of, like, it looked like a kiss might have happened there. I mean, it didn't because Lucas showed up, but I would like a parallel where maybe there's like an almost kiss and they get caught, or maybe a kiss and they get caught. Something's gonna happen there. Definitely a step forward's gonna be taken with them. But yeah, so they're so cute together though. So we also have going on with the Coulters, and Gwendolyn and Rosemary are not getting along. She really wants nothing to do with Rosemary, and Rosemary's trying her hardest, but it's just not working. And she's able to bond with Lee though, which was a really nice scene. And we were kind of annoyed with Lee right now because of how he's acting with the McGinty stuff, but I think the scene with him and Gwen, we can really appreciate that because it just shows his softer side, and we see him kind of in that father role. And it works better because with Goldie, it's a little bit, we've seen him be affectionate with Goldie, but when it's a teenager, it's so much easier to write those scenes. We've seen it with Nathan and Allie, and with little Jack older now, it's a bit easier to get those scenes with him and Elizabeth because they can interact. But I think Lee, at the end of the day, he's kind of immature and hot-headed. We saw that in this episode, but he's a good person. He's a good father, and yeah, and Kevin does a great job at playing all sides to him. In this episode in particular, we saw so many sides to Lee, and that's just what makes him a good character. And yeah, so I'm liking Rosemary and Lee a lot this season. It's definitely like they've kind of swapped places with their roles, but it works so well. Seeing Rosemary be the calm one and Lee be the aggressive one, I really like that role reversal. So I'm curious what they're going to do with that for the remainder of the season. So several characters were missing this episode. We didn't see Faith, Henry, Joseph, or Minnie, but we got more of Molly, which I think it worked to have Molly be the one to kind of approach Lee with that. because she's kind of like not a given. She's an outsider, and it would work for her character to kind of be the the one to snoop or eavesdrop or be the one to get that information. So I did like getting a little bit more Molly, but I'm curious what they're gonna do. I mean, with Joseph and Minnie, we assume that they'll have a big role next episode with the whole Cooper storyline. And then Faith and Henry, I don't really know what they're doing with them, but we'll see what happens. So the Elizabeth and Nathan kiss in the field was really cute. Really, I mean, beautiful how they shot it. And yeah, so definitely this was my favorite episode of the season by far. Just very well written, very well acted, and I'm looking forward to next week with the birthday party and, of course, how the Canfields are going to react and how that's all going to be settled. Like, will the kids get arrested? I'm really curious what's going to happen there. The stakes are definitely higher now, so really curious to see all of that. So comment down below, what did you think of this episode and what are you excited for next week? Thanks everyone for listening, and bye everyone.